All right, next game we played was a superhero game called Heroes Wanted.
Yes, it's by Travis R. Chance, Nick Little by Action Phase Games.
And basically it's a cooperative, well, it's a semi-cooperative game.
Yes.
I mean, you have to work together, but basically, if I remember the funny storyline, you're second-rate heroes trying to apply to get into be in the big leagues or whatever. And so you're always crappy superheroes, but you're trying to step on each other in a very corporate ladder kind of style game.
Right.
Where you're trying to do different things, but you want to trip the other guy just enough to where he's helping you out to get to the end, but you're like, trip him at the end, and you're like, bam, over the finish line.
Right.
So to speak. There's different scenarios that you play, which we'll get into, but the biggest thing is the character creation.
Oh, yes.
You basically flip a deck. There's two decks. There's A and B. And the deck A is like your top half, your torso and up. And then deck B is like your torso and down. And it basically, the top part gives you like a superpower, basically.
Right.
You have a hand of cards where each turn players are putting a card face down, flipping them over kind of thing, or whatever it is. And one just references your superpower. The other one's like a passive ability kind of thing.
Right.
Anyway, what was your character's name?
Actually, it was funny enough. I remembered him. I was Dragonfoot.
Dragonfoot?
Yes.
Yeah. Because so the bottom card is the first name and the top card is your second name.
Yes.
And you add those together and it's just, I mean, tell them about yours.
I remember that I could walk around and anytime I moved into a spot with a like lower level villain, I can't. What was the two different names they had?
Minions, I think.
Yeah.
But what was the artwork? Is what I was specifically.
Like
why was your guy called Dragonfoot?
Because I think the bottom half of them it looked like dragon like legs and a belly, and then the top of them, funny enough, it was a guy with like a tight costume on with a foot on his face, kind of resembling like the clan from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So it was funny.
Yeah, my guy's name was Night.
Yes.
It's because like the bottom part was like a wizard robe, almost like a nightgown robe.
Right.
And he had like a sleeping bag.
Well, it kind of looked like the Sandman, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, like the Sandman, like a sleepy knight.
Right.
But he had a bag and it was full of bricks. And the top part was Knight, Knight.
Yes.
So it was like a armored knight.
Right.
And I just thought it was funny that was Night.
Yes.
And Eric had a guy, I can't remember
I can't remember what Eric's was.
something heavy hawk or metal hawk.
Metal Hawk.
Metal
Yes,
Hawk.
That's what it was. Metal Hawk.
Yeah. And all right, so we're going to go into this because I almost forgot about this. We did play with it's like optional where you get a little card that tells you like a quirk.
The quirks. Yes.
And basically the quirk just gives you points at the end of the game. And you always start off with max points, but you lose points as people call you out for not doing your quirk.
Right.
Like, what was yours?
Mine was, which I said it was, I can't remember.
The announcing?
Yeah, it was where anytime anybody did a certain thing on the board and I had to stand up and announce who it was that did it and, what action it was. I can't remember specifically what it was. And I didn't care for the wording because I thought it should have been called like fanboy.
Oh, yeah. What was the wording? It was something like...
that's what I can't remember exactly what they called it, but it should have been called like fanboy.
Yeah, because like basically... let me explain the rest of the game, I guess, and then we'll talk. But you pick a scenario. The scenario that we played was something like looting, loitering, and... I don't remember. It's like,
jaywalking.
And jaywalking. Looting, loitering, and jaywalking. Maybe not in that order. And basically, it had a picture... It's all hexagons, but it had a picture of a street... And there was crosswalks, and then the players can't enter the street, but they can cross on the crosswalks. But the whole point is the villain's crossing over the middle of the map,
yeah.
And then dropping litter everywhere. And he has all these minions, and you run around and punch all the minions and kill them. You punch all the henchmen, which are stronger guys, and kill them. And then if you do damage to the main boss or villain, which you also generate in the game,
yes,
through cards. There's a whole villain deck for the top and bottom part or whatever. And basically, you got points for doing different things. There's like an achievement track kind of over to the left. And then whoever, like for instance, if you do 10 points of damage to the villain, you get to put one of your cubes there and it unlocks one of your powers on your player board.
Yes.
And then, so basically, whenever somebody made made it on the achievement board for doing something like getting rid of trash or killing so many guys, things like that, you had to stand up and announce Metal Hawk has whatever the achievement is.
Has knocked out 5 villains.
Yeah. Mine was pain intolerance or something like that.
Yeah.
So every time I got hurt, I had to be like,
Yeah.
ooh, And then Eric probably got the creepiest one.
But I think that's actually what it was called, was creepy or something.
Was it creepy or something? It's like, what was it again? It's like he had to introduce himself every time the start player changed or something.
Yeah, every time you took the start player, he had to like touch you, physically touch you, and whisper something about Metal Hawk. I don't remember exactly what he said, but
my name's Metal Hawk.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he was just saying his name, but he always touched you, and he had to kind of like whisper it to you.
Yeah, he had to whisper it. It was rather humorous. I mean, you can't the quirks you really can't look at and say, "Oh, this one's not as balanced as this one."
Right.
Because it's not really about that, but they have to put some kind of, if you didn't have points on there would be, people would just ignore it.
Right.
So I get it. But there were some that were easier to do and less annoying. Like mine happened all the time.
Right.
But yours happened like a few times.
Actually, mine didn't happen a lot. Eric's happened regularly.
Yeah.
Not as much as yours, though, because you're constantly usually getting hit by something.
Yeah.
Because at the end of every round, that was actually a phase of, take damage from things that were around you. So.
Yeah. So I pretty much happened every time. And
yeah.
So it wasn't whatever, but it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And we read through the rest of them. There's a lot of funny ones in there. It's definitely something it fits the theme because the theme's ridiculous in the first place.
Yes.
So it really does add into the game and it adds a lot to it. And I feel like this is definitely a game where if you're playing it at a convention, it's fun to like just watch.
Right.
Or something. Maybe not watch the whole game, but it would be entertaining to see if people had these quirks they were constantly doing.
Right.
So I'm going to start with what I think first.
Okay.
I actually did not enjoy that scenario.
Right.
And I think you're on the same page, right?
I believe so.
I believe Eric was on the same page as well.
Yes.
It was extreme. Well, I get it. It's the tutorial for the most part, but it was so basic. Move.
It was
punch
basic
guy,
and repetitive. It was the same thing throughout. Run up, hit guys, and then stay out of range of the villain.
Yeah. And that's really saddening because I read the other scenarios, or when we finished, we were reading the other scenarios and we're like, wow.
They were pretty neat.
Yeah, we're definitely giving this another try.
Yes.
I don't feel like that scenario won us over, and I almost feel like that's probably a disservice to the game. Like, I feel like almost I want to tell other people, look, that scenario we didn't enjoy. No, I mean, I guess that other people could. I think it is more of a lighter game, but the mechanisms going on in the other scenarios seem a little bit more involved.
Right.
This was the guy just moves, and the game ends. And then all you're doing on your turn is literally just running into a crowd of guys and punching everything around you.
Right.
And so I felt like I fell so far behind because I didn't have a way to kill multiple guys. I would put a card down and hit a guy for 5 damage or whatever. But like Eric had one where it was either, or maybe it was yours, if you end in the same space as them, you got to kill a minion at the end of.
That was Eric's, and mine was if I killed one of the weaker minions, I got a free kill on one that was adjacent to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, you two could constantly kill 2 things.
Yes.
And I was constantly killing one.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was zero way for me to get above that.
Right.
So, whatever. I mean, I feel like the humor in the game was really good. The concept of the game was really fun. And I think that there's just going to be in the way that they've got this going on, I feel like there's going to be scenarios that are great and scenarios that are just okay.
Right.
But I understand, if I understand this correctly, they have a lot of these scenarios that you can buy.
They've got several expansions. I don't know how many of them come with scenarios.
Yeah.
Because I have seen like some of the boxes are really small. It's probably just extra cards.
Probably extra heroes or whatever.
Yeah. And talking about heroes, let's not forget about the giraffe one. Was pretty.
You can explain that.
Oh, it was just you start with because you got a torso and an upper part of feet and upper body. And one of them was a giraffe, and it came with an extra card because your neck, it was just pretty much like your shoulders and stomach. and then there was another card you put on top of it that was actually a C card, and
that was it. It had no words.
It just had a head. It was the rest of your superhero that was a giraffe.
Yeah, because when we bust this game out and we were reading through it and stuff, we are like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this card? And then after we realized what it was just, we laughed 5 minutes. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, it definitely, we got a lot of enjoyment out of setting it up, picking the characters, the villain, the scenario. I mean, they're the quirks. There's so much.
Yeah, even though we didn't like the scenario, the concept of it was absolutely ridiculous.
He's purposely trolling you by jaywalking around and dropping litter. Yeah, he's dropping litter on the ground, right in front of you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the concept and everything else is there. I think just that scenario was.
And I don't know if it was not. I mean, the scenario was kind of boring, but the card combat, like the way the game works.
I was just about to say that too.
You have a hand of cards. Everybody pretty much has the same ones, other than the fact that depending on your hero, you're one of these 4 archetypes, and you add a card or two to your deck for that. So you have a slightly different hand than other players, but basically you play a card, and then next turn you play a card, and then next turn, and then eventually you want to rest. But if you don't rest, you have less cards in your hand, and if the villain actually does damage, you have to spin those cards to block against, and if you don't block it, you take damage or whatever.
Right.
Which are injuries, and they give you negative victory points, things like that. But I felt like that was just okay. Although I believe that they would probably work better in different scenarios.
Possibly.
Because, I mean, what else are you doing in this? There's a couple of other cards that were like, again, it's a tutorial. It was the one that recommended, but whatever. But I feel like half the cards in my hand I didn't really need to use. Or at least it wasn't apparent that I needed to use them, because I'm really just walking, moving, fight, move, fight, move, fight. Oh, I need to move over there, charge, or whatever.
Right.
So it wasn't really a whole lot that I was doing differently. So I don't know. What'd you think about that?
Pretty much what you just said. It's a little stagnant. I mean, it's kind of the same. It's just there's not a big decision to make.
But I feel like the scenario can dramatically change that.
No, it might. Yeah. And, so it definitely, as you said, it deserves another chance from us.
Yeah.
But, so.
Well, cool. That's Heroes Wanted.